Welcome back to another episode of Light Beer, Dark Money. I'm Sean Noble.
And I'm a very gravelly Chris Clements. My goodness.
You had quite a day yesterday.
I did have quite a day. I whisked myself off to the crumbling city of Los Angeles, to the now resurrected Kia Forum, to see the first show of the 50-something tour of a little band from Toronto called Rush.
Just a little band.
Just a wee band from Toronto called Rush. And for those of you who know that band, you know that about 6 years ago, they endured a little bit of tragedy with the death of their drummer, Neil Peart.
I mean, it's huge tragedy. One of the greatest drummers in the history of mankind.
I think the greatest drummer, but I mean, he's up in the top 5, depending on who you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, John Bonham, Keith Moon, Ginger Baker, Buddy Rich. I mean, you can go on and on, but he's in there.
Top tier.
He's in there. But they had officially retired in 2015 with their 40th anniversary tour. And because Neil was done, he had a new family, he had a new wife, new daughter, and he just wanted to just be off the road and enjoy his life. And then a year later, he gets diagnosed with glioblastoma. And I remember when my cousin, Sasha's cousin, texted me this article from Billboard on January 10th. I was sitting in a parking lot waiting to pick up my kids from school. And, with the Starbucks, I thought it was an article from The Onion. I'm like, this isn't true. This isn't right. Because they had kept it quiet for all those 3 years. I mean, Geddy Lee even wrote a book about the bass, the beautiful book of bass, I think it's called. And I can't even imagine going around doing a book tour and people are asking you how your bandmates are doing and if you're going to tour again and knowing that you're lying about pretty much all of that.
Yeah.
And so he passed away actually on January 7th, and then they announced it on January 10th.
Wow.
And so it began like the 2020, like one of the worst years in human history.
Yeah.
And it happened on that
a terrible year.
On that day. And then Geddy went off and wrote a book wrote an autobiography, which I highly recommend to anybody, especially chapter 3, which he talks about his family enduring and immigrating from Germany during the Holocaust. His parents met in Auschwitz.
Wow.
At a concentration and went and got married in the mess hall there after the war. I mean, it's to hear him tell it, and he throws in some Yiddish accents in there too when he's doing it. It's a great read, but it's a better listen.
Yeah,
because he narrates the whole thing. And then Alex went off and formed a band called Envy of None, which is a kind of a new wave sort of band, really great. And then all of a sudden they started jamming together during morning coffees and started thinking about, well, could we do this again? And the irony of that whole thing, because I read this in their tour book last night, was that it was the death of Taylor Hawkins from the Foo Fighters who overdosed down in South America. And they did these 2 tribute concerts, one in London and one in Los Angeles. And Dave Grohl asked Rush to perform. So they performed with all these other drummers. And then they got the bug. And so it
happens. These guys, the ladies and guys that do this they are musicians. You really can't keep them off a stage.
Well, ironically, it was during, I think, the London show. I read about this. Don't ask me how I retain all this, but I do.
The important stuff.
Yeah. Paul McCartney went up to Alex. And he's like, well, you guys are, I can't do a Paul McCartney accent, even if I tried. You're gonna go back on tour, right? He's like, well, I don't know. And it was Paul McCartney. He looked at him right in the eye and goes, we're musicians. This is what we do. You can't not tour and not make new music. You have to do it. And so they heard about this drummer named Anika Nilles, who had been drumming for Jeff Beck before he passed away. They interviewed her, really liked her. She's German. Hits the drums like nobody's business. And she was the hero of the show last night because she did things that nobody thought that she would do, including Neil's very intricate drum fills, which are incredibly difficult to pull off.
Yeah.
But the highlight, and we have one of those fills coming up, but the highlight was really for anybody who loves music and is into Rush's music, she made a lot of those songs her own. It was her timing. It was the way she struck those drums and the way Geddy played with her in terms of the rhythm section was very different. And that was cool because it was Rush, but it was like, it was different.
Yeah, just
and
a little
it sounded
tweak.
a little different. And the most gratifying thing about the show was her drumming, but also Geddy's voice, which has gotten a lot of criticism over the last couple of tours. Turns out he hired a voice coach, and he's gotten his mid-range back.
Oh, wow.
Which was so wonderful to hear. So the whole thing was great.
That's awesome.
But the greatest part of the entire show for a lot of Rush fans was the debut of Tom Sawyer, the second half of the show, and Anika Nilles does this.
Okay. That's unbelievable.
So, just for our listening audience who don't know, that is a song called Tom Sawyer, and that fill is one of the most difficult fills to do in all of rock. Neil Peart always wanted to get that perfect, and he was always happy when he did, and he was always upset at himself when he didn't.
Yeah.
And that was about as perfect as you could get, and you could hear from the crowd how happy they were that she did it.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about the whole show was that it was just different from a standpoint. It paid a lot of homage to Neil with some different things on the video boards and different songs. Amy Mann from Till Tuesday, who guest starred on the song Time Stands Still. Geddy Lee walks her out after this video montage of Neil, and they sing the song. That had to be the first time that ever happened. Wow. So it was a lot of fun. I went with Grace, my daughter, who I kind of dragged her there with me.
Of course.
I'm like, come on. And I think she had a good time. I don't know. I was like 15 again.
Yeah, and she will look back at that moment 20 years from now and realize that was she was a part of history.
Oh, it was definitely. It was. That's why I wanted to go to the first show. I wanted just to see them return because I missed the last show. Because of a lot of different things going on in my business life at that time. I got to see the show here. And I remember I left a little early because I just knew it was ending. I could kind of feel it was ending at that point because Neil had really said, I just want to do 40 shows. I don't want to go to Europe. I don't want to do these things. And so it was painful for, I think, the fans. So this is kind of cathartic. They're taking this all over the world.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, Los Angeles is crumbling.
Yeah.
And it's going to crumble some more.
Well, it's not going to get solved. Ladies and gentlemen, we have told you multiple times that Spencer Pratt, while running a seemingly very good campaign, and we've talked about running a campaign, really never had a chance.
Yeah.
And that has borne out.
And why is that from your perspective?
Well,
I mean, give our listeners sort
fundamentally,
what goes on in California. You've had to deal with that as a strategist.
Yes, and let me be very clear that all of these people say, "Oh, he was in second place by X amount of votes," and all of a sudden, all these late votes are breaking against him. This is outrageous. This is fraud. No, this is Los Angeles. Okay, and what we know was that he did, in fact, have a lot of motivated voters who voted early and got their ballots in or voted on election day.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people who held their ballots for a long time because they didn't really know whether they wanted to support Bass or if they wanted to try to go a different route. And I think Spencer Pratt, to his credit, look,
can you win by losing in this regard?
In some ways, you might be able to win by losing because if
we say that a lot on the show, but this might be an example of that.
Well, let me finish this thought that he never had a chance, ladies and gentlemen. He never had a chance, and the reason is because he is Republican. Although he didn't really campaign as a Republican, he did a pretty good job of trying to separate himself from the MAGA and the Trump base. From the standpoint of I am running as a guy who is here in Los Angeles. But he was Republican. Republicans make up 15 to 17% of the vote in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
He's at in the city.
In LA.
Yeah, LA
Not
County
LA
is
County.
actually more Republican than the city. And the city is only like at tops 17% Republican. He's at what, 26%, 25, 26?
Yeah, so he outperformed the electorate.
He overperformed. He did what people expected, which was he pulled people towards him that typically wouldn't vote for a Republican. But in a city in which Republicans aren't even a fifth
Yeah.
of the vote, there's no chance. There's no chance.
Yeah.
So, but I think that his campaign did, in fact, put a brake on how much Karen Bass was able to pull, which is why this Democratic Socialist,
Who could win?
who might win.
Yeah.
Who might win.
That's the scary part. So she can win.
Could she be any worse than Karen Bass?
Oh, much worse.
You think?
I think so.
Okay. Well,
I mean, if the Democratic Socialist Party is any example, yes, could be much worse.
The real question will be now, this is where we've determined whether Spencer Pratt's campaign really had the staying power or it really made the difference that we hope. And that is if Karen Bass, which it looks like she is, campaigns more towards the Pratt side, which her spokesperson criticized this Democratic Socialist in the last statement after this woman got into second place. She said, "We look forward to running a campaign against a woman who would rather have encampments and defund the police than make Los Angeles a livable city." And I was like, wait a minute. You sound like Spencer Pratt.
I mean, if Karen Bass can pivot to that messaging and actually begin to, because she's mayor now.
Yeah.
It's not like she can't do this stuff now.
Which is part of why.
And actually, the smartest thing for her to do would be to do just that. Start cleaning up the encampments. Start cleaning up downtown. Just do it now. Well, and
what better proof that you are going to be good for the election?
Exactly. And guess what? A lot of those people who voted for Pratt will vote for you.
Yep.
Or those just stay home.
And then Pratt should take credit.
Yeah.
I changed
absolutely.
Los Angeles. My message cut through and got to the leadership.
Yeah. Absolutely. You can win by losing.
Yeah.
If your message makes your opposition pivot to that message and then take action upon that message, you can win by losing. And also you can create a whole new momentum towards campaigning in the future.
Well, not only that,
and he's going to have a future if he wants it. I think in other parts, in other ways.
The thing that frustrates me is that the people who are screaming that this is election fraud and they're playing the same old tired playbook of losers that they stole it. You're undermining what he accomplished by saying that. Yeah,
but you have to listen. The document dumps at the dead of night and the helicopters coming in to bring ballots. You have to question that. It's shady, and you say it's Los Angeles, but it's shady. Shady as all hell.
Is it though? I mean, it's just the way. I mean, look, it's no different than they've been doing it for years.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't make it right.
They allow ballots to be counted as long as they're postmarked on election day, up to 9 days after the election.
Which is insane.
And we know that, I mean, there are a lot of people who held their ballot, decided they didn't want to vote it because they were waiting to see how this played out. And that's to Spencer Pratt's credit. So my point is, he was the one who actually made it possible for this woman to come in second place. Because it's a vote against Bass. He was running against Bass.
Yeah.
And he succeeded.
What do you think happens
into a runoff.
with the inquiries on the election here on out? You think the federal government gets involved? Or is there nothing they can do?
There's nothing to see. I mean, there's no fraud.
Well, you don't know that for sure.
Okay, so there's no systemic fraud. How about that?
All right.
Will they find out that 3 or 4?
Well, they allow illegals to vote as well, right?
I'm not sure
they do.
I'm not sure LA does that. I mean, they might.
I'm sure they do. It's disappointing because a lot of people really enjoyed the spirit that he put into his campaign, the creativity that a lot of people around him put into those AI stuff.
Yes, there's lots of things to be interested in, but
I'm wondering also, just to his detriment, whether he became, in the eyes of many voters, less serious because of some of that campaigning.
Yes,
it was true. I mean, what he was bringing up in some of those ads, or the people around him,
and that's the thing. That's the great distinguisher, is that the stuff that came from his campaign was spot on message. I'm telling you, I give them great kudos for running the campaign they needed to. The attention, all these AI videos, that stuff was a distraction. Now, thankfully, most of that probably didn't really get to the typical LA voter.
No.
Because it was on X, it was in the MAGA ecosphere. Everyone was like, rah, 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 every campaign should be doing this. This is the greatest ad of all time. No. They're attention-getting. They're fun. They made a point. But when it comes to actually moving voters, it didn't do very much.
Yeah, that's probably true. And I think there's some of the ads, not all of them, but some of them made him seem less serious because of the comedic aspect. I thought the one ad, I thought the Batman ad was interesting but cheeky.
Cheeky.
Yeah, and made it seem less serious. I thought the one ad of the guys sitting around the barbecue saying, "I'm not MAGA, but," that was a good ad.
That's pretty good.
That cut through. Because that was saying,
and there was
giving people
ladies at a yoga
vote.
studio, a similar one.
Those were good.
Yeah,
and there's some lessons to be learned for those.
Yeah, look, they're clearly, because the fact that he got into the mid-20s, he had a bunch of people who voted for him who would never have voted Republican in their life before. Is my guess.
Yeah.
So,
and hopefully he changes the narrative.
Yeah.
I mean, Karen Bass, regardless if she pivots to this clean up LA sort of mantra, which she has to do that. I mean, she's going to win, I think. Who knows? But
odds are, yeah.
But she should pivot to that full force right now because the Olympics are 2 years away.
Yeah,
the World Cup is happening now,
right?
And thankfully, it's happening in West LA. You know, where it's a little cleaner. Where I was last night, the Forum and SoFi. I mean, it's over there's a little bit cleaner, a little bit more picked up. You go downtown, it's a mess. Going downtown reminds me of LA in the 80s. Like you didn't go downtown. You went to a couple places downtown, like the Pantry, and to go eat. But if you were at SC, you never ventured downtown.
Definitely not late at night.
No, not late at night. No, for sure. And they cleaned it up, and it was booming, and it was great. And then they ruined it, and she ruined it, and she's got to figure out if she can fix it.
So staying on the theme of California.
Oh yes.
You sent over a clip. You sent this clip before the weekend.
Oh yes, and Congressman Ted Lieu.
Let's play this. So I haven't seen it. So
you haven't seen this?
No, I haven't. So
ladies and gentlemen, just let me tee it up for a little bit. So last week, the next president of the United States, Marco Rubio,
get your hopes up, man.
Did a tour. Man's got a dream. Did a tour of the U.S. Capitol, where he was at the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. We did some airing of that last week. Then he went over to the House, and that was where the real comedy began, because it was a complete and total joke. This one especially, I thought, encapsulated everything that was going on that week.
Okay.
Instead of holding North Korean-style cabinet meetings where everyone goes around the room kissing Donald Trump's ass, I'm going to ask you to come clean with the American people and the White House as well. There's something wrong with Donald Trump's health or cognitive abilities. There's a reason he keeps going to the hospital and they keep giving him cognitive tests. We have not seen the president in 8 days. The American people deserve the truth. I yield back.
I don't even know how to respond to that, other than to tell you that it's absurd and ridiculous. And I can't believe we're in a Foreign Affairs Committee meeting in front of the House, an important time in American foreign policy.
Just keep lying, Secretary Rubio. Just keep lying.
Supposedly someone who thinks he's a medical expert when he's not. The truth of the matter is we had a cognitively impaired president in office a few years ago. That's a cognitively impaired president, but I don't like to talk about that because it weakens America. This president we have, this is a guy that literally doesn't sleep. He works day and night, long hours, every single day. I don't know if you haven't seen him in 8 days. I saw him yesterday. I didn't see him yesterday because I was in Congress the day before. I talked to him at all hours of the day and night. He works inhumane hours. Okay, I've been on foreign trips with the president that he doesn't sleep in the whole flight. And everyone else is sleeping on the plane, and he's, wandering the hallways looking for someone to wake up and talk to. That people are. So I don't know what you're referring to, but he has an incredible amount of energy. I'm just telling you, you may not like his policies. You may not like his policies, you may not like the decisions he's made, but I assure you, this is not a president that sleeps or is cognitively impaired in any way, shape, or form, and in fact is incredibly active, much more so in many cases than much younger people that are around him. Those are facts. I see it every day. You're not going to agree because you have another narrative that you want to push, but those are the facts.
I thought
Such a great.
I thought that was so refreshing. The Democrats are trying to push this narrative about Donald Trump and his cognitive abilities and his health. And I mean, completely ignoring the fact that they had a brain dead president for 4 years.
I mean, it's the last place that they should be going.
It doesn't make any sense.
Did Ted Lieu ever say anything critical of Biden?
Never.
It's insane.
Never.
It's insane that these people are bringing this. I mean, look, Marco's exactly right. You may not like the president. You may think he's a jerk. You may think that he's crazy because he has such crazy policies. That does not make him cognitively impaired.
No, because those of us who know people who work in the administration, like you and me, know this narrative.
Yeah.
We've heard this from people. We've heard about the 2 a.m. phone calls.
Yep.
3 a.m. phone calls. And heard Weiss being like, what the heck is going on? Why is he calling you at 3 a.m? It's like, well, because he's the president of the United States. What's he doing up? He's always up.
He's always up.
And it's funny what he said about the Air Force One. I've heard that story 1,000 times.
It's very common.
Like he's in Air Force One. Everyone's trying to sleep. They're on their way to wherever they're going to. It's a 14, 15, 20-hour flight. And the president's wandering the halls of Air Force One looking to people to talk to. And he gives these press conferences on Air Force One just nonchalantly.
Yeah.
Let's go back in the press room.
Exactly.
Like at 1 a.m.
I mean, it's bonkers to me that Ted Lieu would say anything other.
Yeah, I totally agree with Marco.
Let's stay on the. This is not a cognitively impaired president. Let's watch this clip. This is from an interview that NBC was attempting to do for Meet the Press. Did not go as they totally wanted.
Yeah, this was this weekend.
Of your consistent campaign promises was no new wars, going all the way back to 2015. Did you break that promise to the American people?
No. I had to stop a country, very powerful, very dangerous country, from having a nuclear weapon because they'd use it. They'd blow up the world. They'd blow up the Middle East. They'd blow up Israel. They'd come here. They'd blow up Europe. They're nuts, okay? They're crazy people. I deal with them. And very high-strung people, really crazy. And get along with them. I like them. But you don't want to let them have a nuclear weapon. And I'm doing the world a service, but I'm doing our country a service. You know, it's America first. I'm doing our country a service. Nice rain.
It is raining hard.
Okay. But the answer is good. Let's just keep going.
Let's keep going.
Let's power through it, right?
Here, we paused nearly 5 minutes for the rain to pass and then picked up our conversation. So you're saying you didn't break your promise, and yet, Mr. President, in your first term, you held to that promise, and it was so fundamental to who you were as a candidate to a first-term president. What changed? Because you insisted no new wars.
First of all, I didn't guarantee no war. Why would I have built the strongest military in the world? I built our military. I inherited a terrible military. We had no equipment. We had nothing. I built a tremendous military. Biden gave a lot of it away, but it's still a relatively small portion compared to what I built.
But you said it over and over again, Mr.
Why would
President?
I build a military? Now, I didn't want to use this, but I'm doing you and everybody else a big favor. In the midst of the greatest stock market in history, in the midst of the most successful country, because as you know, in the last term, we were a dead country, Kristen. I know you're a big liberal, or a big progressive.
No, I'm just a journalist.
We were a dead country. A year ago, a couple of years ago, we were a dead country. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And at the all-time hottest point, which is probably now, believe it or not, we just had all brand new stock market records today. But at the hottest point in the history of our country, I took Scott, Howard, I took Pete, I took everybody into a room. I said, I have to do this country, this world, the Middle East, Israel, everybody a favor. You have Iran. They're going to have a nuclear weapon. Barack Hussein Obama signed the JCPOA. It was a horrible deal. Horrible deal. Listen to me. It was a horrible deal. It was a path to them getting a nuclear weapon. They were very close to having a nuclear weapon. I terminated the deal. Wait. Then I sent the B-2 bombers in about 9-10 months ago, and they totally obliterated the site, and I saved it. We had a choice. We could let them have a nuclear weapon, or we could go along and have some beautiful days. But they would have, it's a judgment. They would have used the nuclear weapon. And you know what? When people hear that whole scenario, when they hear me say Iran was going to have a nuclear weapon, and they're crazy, they say you're doing the right thing. I don't think it's you'll do polls because they're all fake polls anyway, especially yours. But you do polls. I just won a big election. And the reason I won an election is people have confidence in me.
So, this goes on. They end up having he ends up walking off because she gets a little bit.
She starts questioning him about the 2020 election.
Yeah, and
he's like, I'm not doing this.
Which is not. Yeah, but I want to so there's two things I want to hit. Let's hit the easy one first. The easiest one was that he's doing the right thing. Denuclearizing Iran.
So easy for you to say.
Is critically important. We've talked about how every president before him was not willing to do that, and that he's done that, and that's huge. Yes, it's disruptive to the economy. Of course it is. It's consequential. So what he's doing, in my mind, is an easy call, even though there are going to be consequences for Republicans as a result because of the gas prices and the other parts of the economy that are impacted by that. But when he said, you're progressive, she's like, I'm just a journalist. I find it astounding, and this is borne out in the firing of Scott Pelley. Pelley from 60 Minutes. So if you were following Scott Pelley,
very distinguished journalist.
Yes,
Scott Pelley.
He's got the voice. And so he's been a long-time 60 Minutes correspondent, and Barry Weiss was made the executive editor of CBS News, and then brought in a new guy to be in charge of 60 Minutes.
Yeah, she fired a bunch of people last week.
And so this guy comes in. He attempts to reach out to Scott Pelley and have dinner with him. As soon as he gets on board, Pelley doesn't respond. He goes into the meeting the next day or the day after that, and Pelley confronts him and says, "You don't have any TV experience. We don't trust you. We don't like what Barry Weiss is doing. Blah blah blah."
He uses pretty inflammatory language. He uses that she is murdering everyone.
Yeah,
we're like in Murderer's Row or something like that.
And
the reporting's been he leaked the entire thing after the confrontation,
and he gets fired and for cause. And then he's interviewed by the New York Times and says that he doesn't. He says, yeah, they said something about liberal bias in our newsroom, but can you show me? Can you show me a poll? Does anyone believe that there's liberal bias? Can you show me data? It's like
I had not heard that, but for him to say something like that is just bizarre.
It's bizarre. Everybody knows that newsrooms are replete with Democrats. Democrats outnumber Republicans.
90%.
Yeah, 10-1
at least.
And he acts as if what liberal bias? Nobody believes there's a liberal bias in news. It's like
they had to correct the Kamala Harris video. They've had to do a lot of different retractions over the years within the purview of 60 Minutes, precisely because of their bias.
It gets worse because then he says, because the New York Times reporter asked, well, what was your reaction to Barry Weiss being hired? And he's like, well, I'd never heard of her. I had to look her up. I was like, okay, I'm calling total bullshit. She was a prominent columnist at the New York Times.
Yes.
The paper of record, of which 60 Minutes follows the lead on every week. For him to say that he doesn't know who she was, and the fact that she started Free Press and it was, after she'd left the New York Times under a pretty controversial, circumstances.
Do you remember
Starts
what that
Free
was?
Press. Yeah, because they were.
No, they published an opinion piece by Tom Cotton, who had come out and said that the president should call out the National Guard to fight the BLM riots, and she stuck up for him, and she was fired.
Yeah. Well, and
then she went
the
and
person
formed-
who published it
Yeah.
got fired.
And then she went and formed the Free Press, which every center left and center right person reads.
Yeah.
We all read it. I'm a subscriber.
Yep.
Because there's some stuff in there that is really well done. There's some stuff I
mean,
don't
it's
necessarily
probably-
agree with. But you know what? They try to have balanced authors in there, which is refreshing.
I'm assuming it's the fastest growing, or was the fastest growing news platform from the standpoint of from zero to something in history.
Yeah.
I mean, they went from zero to massive in like 2 years.
Yeah. And then Skydance came in. They bought it.
Yeah,
And then
bought
they
it for a
took
huge amount of money.
Barry. Is it Barry Weiss? Barry Weiss. They took her and moved her over to CBS. And for anybody to contend that she's like carrying water for MAGA is insane.
Well, they clearly haven't read her.
Yeah, exactly. Or know that, who she is. She's been a center left traditional liberal forever.
Yeah.
Now she's a likable person.
Yeah.
And people like her. People on the right like her. People on the left like her. But the fact is, CBS has been a dumpster fire for decades.
Not only did they like her, but her wife is one of the funniest people on the planet.
Yeah, that's
Nellie
what I've heard.
Bowles, who does the TGIF for Free Press. If you are not subscribed to that newsletter, it comes every Friday. You just do it just for the comic relief. I mean, she just has such a sharp wit.
But to go back, I mean, we've done some clips on this show from CBS when we're like, that's some pretty straightforward reporting. I don't think we would ever see that before.
Right.
And make no mistake, 60 Minutes has been home to some of the most liberal correspondents ever in the history of modern news.
Maury Schaefer.
Mike Wallace, Dan Rather, Harry Reasoner, I mean, Diane Sawyer. Good Lord.
Anderson Cooper.
I mean, they are the poster children for liberal politics, liberal news people.
Well, I mean, look,
Complete.
Let's just be honest. The entire news ecosystem, TV news, the big papers, print news,
Mainstream
for
media.
decades has been captured by the liberals.
Yes.
Captured.
And that's why they hate things like the Free Press, which
Yeah.
tries to take a balanced approach. They hate Fox News. They
don't
hate all
wanna-
these.
they don't
They
want
hate
a
the Daily
balanced
Wire.
approach.
They hate all these different outlets that are growing by leaps and bounds and have grown over the last, 10, 15 years because they provide another viewpoint
Well, and
that's contrary to what they're slinging.
yeah. And the thing is, we've had some things that have grown big and come back. Now, 60 Minutes has had its ups and downs. I think it's kind of up a little bit on its viewership.
And then the football season's coming, so its viewership will even increase even more.
But the ecosystem, the media ecosystem, has gotten so fragmented that there's really not like any big platforms anymore.
No, not like there
Everybody
used to be.
everybody that was huge has come back down a little bit. Tucker's down, Megyn Kelly's down, Ben Shapiro's down. Everybody's a little bit down because there's just a broader scope.
Yeah.
And it's just so hard to capture attention.
And it's easy to change the channel now. Where
Well, I mean,
before
yeah.
you were when we were growing up, you were captured. You had to pick between three stations.
Yeah, 3 stations.
for news, really, until CNN came along. And even then, in our house, when Walter Cronkite signed off and Dan Rather got that chair, my father changed the channel.
That's when he went to somebody else.
We started watching ABC News with Peter
Who was it
Jennings
before Peter
and-
Jennings? Because
It was
Peter Jennings was around the same time as Dan Rather, I think.
yeah. It was Frank. What was his name? I'm blanking on. I
Anyway,
need to look it up.
yeah.
But we would watch Meet the Press on the weekends with Tim Russert.
Tim Russert.
But I would also watch This Week with David Brinkley.
Yep.
Because you'd have Sam Donaldson on there, but then you have George Will, and Cokie Roberts was sort of, I don't know what she was doing. But but I always enjoyed the show because I enjoyed watching Sam and George go at it.
Yeah.
And then David Brinkley always would have these, he was secretly center right, I think. He was more left at one point. But he would have these
Little zingers.
Yeah, these little zingers at the end, and his ending commentary was always great. And Tim Russert, I think, was liberal, but he played it down the middle.
Yeah, he did.
And he did it probably better than anybody. He was very respectful of his Republican guests, very respectful of his Democratic guests, and he would push, and they knew he would push, but it was always respectful. And we've gotten away from that.
It's
because
never
what
been the
Scott
same
Pelley
since
does
Tim
is
Russert.
just, he had Biden on during the election, and Biden was a blathering fool, and he did nothing.
Nothing.
And then he tries to get these gotcha moments with Republicans. And it's just, people are tired of it.
Yeah.
Republicans will watch a liberal program if they feel that it's fair.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know, someone that
because it's a
leans
place
left.
to get information.
Yeah.
I think
They'll
it's
subscribe to something like the Free Press if
think
they
it's-
think it's fair.
And I think it's important for conservatives. I mean, it's easy to go find the other side because it's so prevalent.
It's everywhere.
But go find it. Go listen to it. Subscribe to the Wall Street Journal or to the National or New York Times or whatever. Don't just consume your news from right wing.
Yeah, the Wall Street Journal. People say this all the time. Their news division is probably farther to the left than the New York Times.
Might be.
Yeah, and
But it's
their
worth-
opinion and their opinion pages nowadays are no friend of Donald Trump at all.
But they still have conservatives. They have some liberals. New York Times editorial. I don't pay that much attention to those guys, but I do try to read the New York Times.
You don't read David French?
On occasion.
I can't stand David French. He and I used to go at it when he was at the Dispatch. He is the biggest phony there ever was.
Yeah.
He's not being invited to any conservative parties.
Nope.
I don't understand why
I don't think so.
keeps saying he's a conservative.
Well, I mean, that goes to where do things go after this? And you are on the Marco bandwagon.
Oh, I am on the bandwagon. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I hope it does.
I will say that, will it happen? I don't know. And but based on the things that I'm seeing and hearing about, JD Vance is doing more of the stuff that you need to do to prepare. He's having meetings with donors. He's having strategy meetings with his team. He's, laying the groundwork. Marco is not.
Yeah.
Now that's in part because Marco's got like 17 jobs. He is a little bit busy.
He's busier than JD.
He's
for
busier
sure.
than anybody. I mean, literally, he's the busiest guy in the country, other than maybe the president.
Or Scott Bessent.
Yeah, he's pretty busy.
Bessent did great last week too.
Yeah, he
by
did.
the way, we didn't do any of those clips, but we should have.
The thing that I appreciate about Rubio, he may not be, he and I would put Trump and Rubio at about the same level of busyness. I think Marco is getting more done.
Yes.
And that's because Marco's not on social media constantly.
No.
Or, I was going to say tweeting, but it's what Trump does. He goes on Truth Social. So there are some days he posts on that thing like 100 times in a day.
Well, he's not.
But he's involved. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think anything goes out. I don't think anything goes out without him
but
knowing.
he's got a guy who does all that all day long.
Well, I think
that's
it's
his job.
I think it's a lady.
Is it a lady now?
think
There
it-
was a guy who was
Well,
doing
there's.
it.
I think they
And
probably. There's
I
probably
think-
a couple of them.
I'm sure Trump feeds them a lot, but I'm sure they do it a lot on their own.
I don't know. Maybe it would strike me as
I think there's some posts on there where like somebody wrote that, and there's other posts when I read them or I hear about them, I'm like, he wrote that. That's obvious. That's in his tone.
Thank you for your attention to this matter.
To this man, yeah,
That's
of course.
definitely him.
Yeah, love him or hate him. I mean, the guy doesn't stop,
Yeah.
and he's never stopped. I mean, I'm re-listening. I think I've told our listeners before. I'm re-listening to The Art of the Deal.
Mm.
And one thing that Donald Trump doesn't get enough credit for back in the 80s and early 90s, New York was a complete total shit show for all intents and purposes for several decades,
Yeah.
specifically the 70s and 80s. He really put deals together to rebuild that city
Yeah.
in ways that nobody thought possible.
I mean, there's a
back
reason
then.
that he and Rudy Giuliani were so close.
Oh my gosh, yeah. They took over the city.
Yeah.
They remade and took over that city. And people don't understand how bad it was, how bad it's getting now, much like it was back then. You know,
Yeah,
if Mamdani chases all the businesses away, and especially the small businesses, it's gonna make the 1970s look like, you know, a kid's birthday party.
Yeah. That'd be bad.
Yeah.
All right.
All the millionaires and billionaires who they
don't wanna
can't
pay that
stand,
extra
but they want
tax.
all their money.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, did we do it?
I think
we did it.
I think we're there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please remember this is a podcast about faith, freedom, free enterprise, the founding principles of our fair republic. Thank you so much for listening. If you have the opportunity to go out and catch Rush this summer in our fair republic, I would highly recommend it. There's
Please
some
let us
high-pitched
know.
voices and it's very loud.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, folks.
God bless.
Thanks for listening. Take care.